I'm Ann Handley. I'm the Chief Content Officer of MarketingProfs, and this is actually my first time at Blog World. I've never been here before. Also, I'm a Vegas virgin. It's my first time in Las Vegas. So my background is as a journalist and a writer. I started my career working for the Boston Globe. I worked in newspapers. I wrote for 1 million magazines, including one that the kind that I read on the airline coming here today from Boston. You know, those airline magazines in the seat back pockets. They paid really well. So that's how I started my career. I was as a writer and an editor. So I was a journalist and a writer first and a marketer second, and that's really where I get, you know, that inspiration for content. That's where I feel like I've learned the biggest lessons about marketing is from my content past, you know, from my journalism past. I think definitely content as a cornerstone of social media is going to be big in 2013. But I think especially that content is evolving a little bit, right? I think 2011, 2012 were kind of the years where we started to see content, you know, kind of come into its own, right? More and more marketers, more and more businesses were realizing that they needed content to market themselves online. That if they didn't have great content, that they couldn't differentiate themselves online at all. They didn't exist online in a big way. So I think 2013 is really the year where we're going to start to see companies really embrace that for some of its real fundamentals. And you know, what does that mean? It means that they're going to be producing content that is truly extraordinary. You know, that is really great. That isn't just, you know, another blog to throw up or a Twitter feed to populate or a Facebook page to you know, post a bunch of stuff to. You know, instead what they're going to do is be creating the kind of thing that their customers will thank them for. One of my favorite stories to tell is a tiny company in Glasgow, Scotland, right? They're called McKay Flooring. And they're a flooring company, right? I mean, they compete with people like Armstrong, you know, huge flooring companies who have much bigger budgets, who have a much bigger footprint online already. But what they did is they figured out what their niche was, right? So they figured out what their story was. They figured out that their big differentiator is that they could own these sort of cool and unique flooring ideas. So they started a blog, just a very simple WordPress blog on their site about 2 years ago, talking about, you know, cool and unique flooring options. So things like installing a floor with reclaimed whiskey barrels, for example, or with pennies, you know, that kind of thing. So their sort of calling card in the flooring industry is that they are known for a company that highlights these cool and unique flooring options. They did that because they knew they couldn't compete for flooring in Google, right? They knew they couldn't possibly touch that. They couldn't compete for wall-to-wall carpeting or rugs or any of that stuff. So what they decided to do was go after something that was very niche, that was far less competitive, and that, you know, Google would love them for. And so I think that's really the key, is finding the thing that makes you unique, that makes, you know, what is your true value, and then building it out from there. That's a place to start to get a foothold. There are a couple of schools of thought as relates to B2B versus B2C. You know, the way that I think about it is that it's all about people, right? Ultimately, there's always one person who's going to be, you know, having to sign off on a purchase. In B2B, the only difference is that sometimes that one person is only one of many people along the way. But ultimately, you know, it's all about marketing to people. That's why I started out, you know, this chat today talking about, you know, the differences in tweaking content, for example, for a B2B versus B2C audience. I mean, there are definite differences. There are challenges in B2B that you don't have in B2C. But ultimately, I think bringing in that human element is necessary no matter what you're doing, really. So if there's one thing I could change about the way businesses use social media, is that to please stop using robo-direct messages on Twitter. I can't even tell you how many of them I get a day, and I think to myself, who is actually using these? Like, are these valuable? I mean, who clicks on the links when, you know what I'm talking about, right? When you get a message from somebody, or you follow somebody, I mean, and then an automatic direct message automatically winds up in your direct message inbox through the Twitter interface, and it says something like, you know, thanks for the follow, you know, check out my link, connect on Facebook, and there's usually a couple of half dozen or 40 or 50, it feels like, links in there. And actually some of them are really, they're nice. I mean, it's like, thanks for following, happy to connect with you here, but you can tell that they're not individualized at all. They're definitely just sort of robo direct messages, you know. So a lot of the people who use them are very nice people, they're very well intentioned, but I feel like somewhere along the way they got really bad advice from some social media guru who told them that this would be a handy way to immediately connect on a personal level with their new followers. And so I'm here to correct the situation and just say, please do not use robo direct messages at all. They're terrible. People who follow you don't appreciate it at all, and if they do, then you shouldn't be following them, okay? So in 2013, some of the things that we're focusing on at MarketingProfs are building out our training programs. A lot of people are having, or a lot of our customers have told us that they wish that we had some deeper, richer programs that we can teach them with. So we can talk about things like social media and content and email and search and all the disciplines that we've been publishing about for a long time. And what we're doing is creating whole courses around them. So it's something that we've been doing, for the past year or so. But in 2013, we're really going to strongly move into that area. So that's on the work front. That's what's going on. And then, for myself, I just came back from a trip to Turkey. It was my first experience speaking to a non-English speaking audience about content marketing, which was an amazing experience. I loved it. So I am going to Croatia in May to do something similar. So I hope to do more international travel and talking about content marketing and getting a chance to experience those cultures too. So you can find me online by, you could Google Ann Handley is one way to do it, or you can find me on Twitter at MarketingProfs. On all major social networks, I'm Ann Handley or MarketingProfs, depending. On Instagram, which is my new favorite social media network, I'm at Ann Handley on there.